N0 SPC here. It's Winter Field Day 2025, headed to the hills of Nebraska.
Every year about this time, you might find some ham radio operators who don't just hibernate by the fire. With a glance at a 2-day weather forecast, portable gear is then selected and activated in the great outdoors. This year, 2 handheld radios, a Yaesu FT991A HF radio, and even a Go box with a mobile crossband repeater should cover it. This is Winter Field Day. Test our ability to communicate no matter the weather.
This year, instead of using an ATV, I'll just be using a regular all-wheel drive vehicle.
My first year of participation, I walked a sled to the pasture. Year 2, I overloaded a 4-wheeler. This year, I decided to have a vehicle. Don't let this snow fool you. It was just enough to make winter look like winter. Slippery, but not treacherous.
It's a little slick out this morning. We have some fresh snow on the ground. One of the advantages to using a vehicle is you'll have your own power sources, depending on how much fuel you have, of course. But so it's not a limitless thing, but it's a little easier than dealing with solar.
We are also testing the CR-V. It's a smaller 4-wheel drive with some creature comforts and a battery. I won't be using its power system and tiny battery, but charging is possible if needed.
We got power, and we're hooked up to a real basic antenna system. It's a multi-band antenna, single feed of coax running through what's called a duplexer. And so hopefully it's kind of plug and play. I'll show you what we got. Power's just this maintenance accessible battery here, this deep cycle. Running up here to the Yaesu 991A through a duplexer and on up to the famous Yaesu 120 antenna. Now I have about 6 minutes to figure out how to make that work.
The Yaesu ATAS 120 antenna tunes many worldwide bands and even local repeaters. It's a convenient antenna, not always the best performance and coverage. Some quirks with the motorized tuning, definitely a compromise. But the idea is a simple, convenient setup, and I'm hoping the terrain helps my signal get out.
Field Day, this is Whiskey Hotel.
November 0, Sierra Papa Charlie QRP.
November 0, Sierra Papa Charlie, please copy 3, Mike, Oscar Romeo.
3, Mike, Oscar Romeo. This is 1 Oscar in Nebraska, 1 Oscar November Echo, and I'm operating QRP, over.
All right, got you in there, 1 Oscar November Echo, thanks for making the trip. 73 to you.
73s, good luck.
Beautiful. Yours then, Whiskey.
I was trying to set up quickly and catch a Winter Field Day bulletin in 6 minutes' time. Tuning the antenna proved harder than I thought, so I missed it. Weather-wise, that snow is gone. In fact, with a breeze and temps in the 40s and 50s, we are back to dry conditions and no fire allowed. Good thing I made smoked beef and lentil soup ahead of time.
Well, a midday action report. I came down off the hill long enough to grab some lunch, and Objective 1 received the bulletin was failed, but I was able to make 2 contacts, so that's good. Now we're going to increase the capabilities by bringing this machine so I can deploy a remote crossband repeater.
A helper has also decided to come along. We will take his ride to a high hill with a good view to the south. Buenos Dias, not that far south. It's not too cold, so the ATV would be fine. Either machine would make this trek, but it's good to have a driver so I can film. Leaving the worldwide capable radio behind, we're headed up another 140 feet in elevation for the portable crossband repeater. It's quite a climb and would make a long hike. Machines make everything easier. and you are adding more capabilities, including fast access to the box if we encounter any problems. The repeater box consists of my first mobile ham radio, a Yaesu 8800. It basically has 2 radios built in, and it had the crossband repeat function for $380. It is now discontinued, but the design still exists. A dual band antenna and a separate battery are the other requirements. Now we should be able to use a low power handheld radio to link to this radio in this better situation that will repeat my signal. We have higher elevation and 30 watts of power. The target repeater is in McCook, about 50 miles away with some ridges in between.
With a view of the horizon, we're going to try it again here, elevated it a little bit, set up a crosslink repeater in 0 SPC.
And that is why we practice these skills.
November 0 Sierra Papa Charlie.
We had a good connection into McCook's repeater, but there's nobody down there to come back to us.
Okay, I think we're going to have to clear that one out, but before we give up on 2 meter altogether, let's try our one up north here with HT running 5 watts. In 0 SPC portable.
All right, yeah, I copy you. It's real quiet there, but I'm coming through the Rising City repeater over here in Columbus. We're operating mobile out of a little camper and playing around for winter field day there, but I can definitely hear you.
Oh yeah, he's winter field day. Roger that. Also doing winter field day, you can copy 1 Oscar, Nebraska, 1 Oscar, Nebraska. I have multiple transmitters and antennas, but 1 operator here right now. But yeah, 1 Oscar, Nebraska here.
So the crossband repeater didn't gain us any actual contacts, but we tested that capability anyway. With a tall antenna mast, the capabilities would increase even more. I was happy to catch KF0 GCK from Rising City doing winter field day on a local repeater using a handheld.
Well, that's the end of day 1.
And 0. Why?
Let's hit one more local before I leave the hill. See you tomorrow. Day 2, we have moved the radio out of the hatchback under a nice lean-to type shelter. It's a little cool today, so I've added a space blanket and a hunting pad to sit on.
We're expecting winds out of the west today, and so far it hasn't really been too windy, so that's a good thing.
I think about settling into a warmer spot if it is blustery, but today's conditions are decent. Now let's take advantage of our hilltop shelter and decent weather and hit the airwaves.
November 0 Sierra Papa Charlie.
I hear a Papa Charlie station now, Jack.
Roger, November 0 Sierra Papa Charlie, operating QRP 1 Oscar, Nebraska.
Really low. That is November 0 Papa Charlie. QSL?
November 0 Sierra Papa Charlie.
We're still getting covered up here.
November 0 Sierra Papa Charlie.
Sorry, I can't pull you out. Try again in a few minutes, see if we can't get it, okay?
We contact Alpha Fire Mike Alpha. Take your contest.
November 0 Sierra Papa Charlie.
November 0, come again?
November 0, Sierra, Papa, Charlie.
It takes persistence and patience sometimes using only 5 watts. In a real-world situation, I'd have used more power.
Western PA, Whiskey Papa Alpha.
Copy that on the 3 India, Western Pennsylvania. I am 1 Oscar, Nebraska. 1 Oscar, November Echo. Over.
Copy 1 Oscar November Echo, QSO.
QSO, and I'm a QRP as well.
Okay, good. Nice to hear on QRP.
November 0, Sierra Papa Charlie, QRP.
Yes, sir. November 0, Sierra Papa Charlie, QRP, Alpha Delta 6 Delta Bravo. I have you a very, very respectable 5-5 into California. Please copy 1 Mike, LAX. Over.
Roger.
November 0, Sierra Papa Charlie. Please copy 1 Hotel, India Delta, Idaho.
Copy the 1 Hotel, India Delta, and I am operating 1 Oscar, Nebraska. 1 Oscar, November Echo, and also QRP today.
QSL, you got a 5 signal over here in Idaho. It's about a 5657, over.
Using only 5 watts has its advantages. The battery will last a lot longer, and if the antenna isn't perfect, low power is easier on the electronics. The SWR, or standing wave ratio, was 3:1 for some of those transmissions, so keeping it at 5 watts was my compromise. Back to the dual band repeater, nice and close to camp this time.
It's just a way of extending your range. A couple of notes on that: when you set up a portable unit to do this repeating, you should always have a way to monitor what your station is doing, what your portable repeater is doing. That way, if there are any problems, you can come address them. And that being said, you also need to stay within 3 minutes of being able to addressing any of the problems. And that's how auxiliary stations such as this operate. A lot of people get dual bands, dual band antenna, and a dual band radio. And if you make sure it has the crossband repeat feature, you can do the same thing. Park a vehicle up on a hill if you have it in your vehicle, or build you a little box like I've done here that operates off a battery.
So, that is one of many ways to experience Winter Field Day. Practice better speed of setting up to receive transmissions. Get familiar with equipment and procedures. Operate on as many bands as possible. Get comfortable. Enjoy the great outdoors. Test the limits of, well, anything and everything you want. No matter your landscape and local situation, you can do something in the dead of winter and have a lot of fun if you're a ham. If you're new to ham radio, all of this can be learned using local clubs and groups and websites such as westernnebraskahamradio.com and arrl.org. Also watch videos with how-to information. But it all starts with the individual. Be interested, pursue a license, and just get on the air to get started. Signing off for now, saying 73's N0 SPC.
November, the 2025 Consulting Bulletin will now be repeated. Break. Annual Winter Field Day Communication event is happening now and ends on Sunday, January 26th at 21:59 UTC. And frigid temperatures can make responding to winter disasters more difficult. The Winter Field Day Then allow you to test your equipment and improve your operational ability in harsh outdoor conditions. For more information, visit www.winterfieldday.org. We remind you to take proper safety precautions when working in the cold weather and monitor weather forecasts for sudden changes. Lessons learned during winter field days can be invaluable during unexpected emergencies. Be safe, good luck, and thanks for participating in Winter Field Day 2025. This is Station 01 Delta Delta November. That's the 2025 Winter Field Day information bulletin. Again, it is now clear and I hand the frequency back over to 52 Golf Sierra Bravo 73. Everybody for the field.
Did you hear the guy whistling in there?
Yeah.
He come on, he's checking his signal. Some guys will just whistle and see, what it registers at. Okay, well, we received it finally, but yeah, that band shouldn't have worked, honestly. We're headed to the hills of Nebraska. But of course, one of the trade-offs is you're in a vehicle. Vehicles may not always be good, running and stuff like that. I got lost. Weather-wise, the sun's supposed to be shining today, so that'll be good. Not only that, weather-wise, the sun's supposed to be shining all day today. The high come up around 30. The only thing we should encounter is probably some wind, and up here on a hilltop, you can expect a lot of extra wind because it's a hilltop. The velocity of the wind can really determine whether or not you should be out here operating. Don't be an idiot. To make sure that you have enough support for your mast so the wind can't topple that over and ruin your day and ruin your contacts. Something like that.